Hi, welcome back to Ageless Island, your destination for staying strong, sharp, and ageless. Sorry I haven't put out a video in a while. Christmas was just crazy and we did some travels, but I'm ready to be back and I've got a few lined up for you. So I want to start with a question. Have you ever taken magnesium and you still feel tired or a little bit like crazy, a little wired, or you have muscle cramps and they're still there? Or you just kind of lack energy, or you just kind of feel off? Well, if that's the case, it might not be you, and it might not even be your magnesium. It might be that you're taking the wrong kind of magnesium. Because what a lot of people don't realize is there's a lot of different forms of magnesium, and those different forms of magnesium actually affect different parts of your body in different ways. So they specifically can target very specific areas. So that includes your brain, your heart, your bones, your energy, your muscles, and even how you sleep. And if you happen to choose the wrong one for your body, then it's not going to have the effect you want. It might still help you in some ways, but it could feel like it's not really helping you in the ways you were hoping for. So, what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at what magnesium actually does in your body and why the form you take actually matters more than a lot of people realize. We're going to look at how it supports some key organs in your body. But again, first, the disclaimer, remember, I'm not a doctor. This isn't medical advice, especially on this episode. If you have kidney issues, before you take supplements or change things you're putting in your body, check with your doctors first. So now let's talk magnesium. Why magnesium matters. So it's involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in your whole body. It supports things like your brain to your body, how it communicates. It can even affect your heart rhythm. It can affect the tone of your blood vessels and your bone remodeling, which especially for some of the people watching this video, it's very, very critical for us over 50. And it can help with energy production. So it's interesting. Your main energy molecule is ATP. We talked about ATP. It's in your mitochondria. I brought it up a lot in the methylene blue video. So I'm going to link back to that at the bottom. So if you haven't seen my methylene blue video, please go take a look at that, especially if you're low on energy or just want a little bone. But anyway, ATP can't work correctly without magnesium because it's bound to magnesium. So in reality, your cells are really running on magnesium ATP. Something interesting that most people don't realize is about 60% of your body's magnesium is actually stored in the bone. So long-term low magnesium intake can actually affect your bone density over time. So it is something you want to pay attention to for all of you people out there that are concerned about your bone health. Then at the same time, as we age, magnesium demand goes up. And why that is chronic stress can increase magnesium loss. So if you're stressed or as you age, your body just needs more magnesium. Something else that's interesting is our soil doesn't contain the same levels of magnesium it did in the past. So we used to be able to eat leafy greens or, some nuts or whatever and get magnesium from those sources and not have to supplement. We're just not getting as much from our diet as we used to in the past. Also, as you age, you might not absorb magnesium the way you used to. Also, if you're taking certain medications, that can interfere with your absorption of magnesium. Something else interesting, something I really recommend is that vitamin D is one of the supplements that you take. But the more you take, the more magnesium you need because they work together. So this can lead to something that's called functional magnesium insufficiency, where your blood levels look normal, but your tissues are just not getting enough. On top of this, not all magnesium behaves in the same way. So let's look at the different choices you have in your magnesium. This is where a lot of people do get confused because there's so many kinds out there and people are in a hurry. Say you're at the drugstore and you have your grocery list and you just grab a bottle of magnesium. If you don't research or you don't know what you're taking, it might not be effective for you. So we're going to go through the different types now. My favorite, I think the coolest form of magnesium is magnesium glycinate. It's kind of like the steady anchor all-round MVP. So it's a popular choice, one, because your body absorbs it really well. It's also easier on the stomach than some of the other forms. It can be calming, but not be sedative like a Benadryl would be. It can help your sleep quality. It can help your muscles relax, especially if you have some cramps or you're worked out and you get those crampy muscles. It can help that a lot. It can help you feel a reduction in stress. And I'm not talking, like an antidepressant or something, but just a calming, soothing feeling it can give you. And in addition to that, it can help with your mood balance. And then again, very important, bone health along with the right dose of vitamin D can really benefit from magnesium glycinate. So for a lot of people, magnesium glycinate is the choice. It's a good daily foundational magnesium vitamin. And it's also a good choice if you've ever taken magnesium and gotten upset stomach or diarrhea from it. Glycinate might be the one for you. Then there's Magnesium L-Threonate, also known as Magtine by trademark versions like Now. That's what I take. It is your more brain-focused form of magnesium. It's really unique and really cool because it was actually created to cross the blood-brain barrier more effectively than any other form of magnesium. Research suggests that it can actually really support memory and learning. And in studies, it's even been shown to ease anxiety, lower your heart rate, raise your heart rate variability, which is really important for longevity. And it can be protective against brain inflammation, which sounds like it would be really bad to have your brain inflamed. It can improve your focus and your mental clarity and increase your brain magnesium levels, give you deeper REM sleep. It can also, and this is a key thing we'll talk about later, it can help how your brain handles sights, sounds, and other sensory reactions. So it can help reduce the impact those have to your body, actually, but how your brain processes them to your body. Some people can experience a little bit increased alertness, and it may be a little bit too much for them. So if it is, you could either lower your dose, or you could go back to like a magnesium glycinate. Or if you take it earlier in the day, it might not be a major impact to you. You just don't want to take it before you go to bed. The next form is Magnesium Malate, and this is for energy and muscle support. And this is one I didn't know hardly anything about till I started prepping for this podcast, but I find it really interesting. And it's one of the most energizing and performance forms because it combines magnesium with malic acid, and that is a compound involved in cellular energy production. It's used to boost energy, and for some people out there with chronic fatigue, your doctor may even be recommending it. It can help ease your muscle soreness and pain if you're worked out. And when you get those sore muscles, it can help that not last so long. And per Healthline review, it can even help with fibromyalgia pain. So if any of you out there are suffering, you might want to talk to your doctor about adding magnesium malate to your treatment plan for fibromyalgia. It can help with blood sugar control and metabolic support. It can even help with energy-related headaches. A lot of people like to take this form in the morning to get that boost. I mean, you might want to consider replacing your caffeine with a magnesium malate and might have a similar outcome. The next one is magnesium taurate, and that helps with the heart and nervous system support. It combines magnesium with taurine, which is getting a lot of buzz out there, and I will probably do a video about taurine in a future episode because it's really interesting what it can do. But it's an amino acid involved in cardiovascular and nervous system regulation. So what it can do with the magnesium is it can help stabilize your cardiac rhythm by blocking calcium channels. So that's pretty major. It's a big deal. It can possibly reduce stress-related palpitations. And human studies have even shown a drop in systolic blood pressure when people have started taking this form of magnesium. And very importantly, since it acts as a calcium channel blocker in the heart muscle cells, it might make it so your heart doesn't have to work so hard, which makes it better for your heart health overall. Again, check with your doctor on this one because this one's no joke. I mean, this one can react with your heart and with your rhythm. So you want to make sure you're doing what's best for your body. Some individuals, especially with low blood pressure, this might not be for you because it can be so relaxing that it can lower your blood pressure. And if you're already low, you don't want to lower it more. Timing for this one is usually midday to early evening. Then let's get into the other forms that you probably have heard about, maybe more so than the ones I just talked about. They're very common, but are not my favorites. The first of those being magnesium citrate, which is commonly used when you're constipated. So it's good for that particular thing. And it's also used to help you prep for colonoscopies. But again, unless you're just like overly constipated person, it's probably not something you want to be taking daily. Then there's magnesium sulfate. You probably know better by Epsom salt. So it's nice in your bathtub, nice to relax your muscles, but not the recommended oral brand to take. And unfortunately, and I really don't like this one, is magnesium oxide. It's only about 4 to 10% absorbed in your body versus magnesium glycinate that's like 80 to 90% absorbed in your body. It can be used in antacids and laxatives. And unfortunately, it's the one that's in most of your off-the-shelf vitamins. So especially your mixed vitamins, when you look at the label and you see what magnesium, a lot of times it's oxide. And it's really cheap. It doesn't perform that well, and it's not absorbed that well. So be sure you're not wasting your money on a magnesium oxide that's not going to be doing much for your body. For all forms of magnesium, anybody with advanced kidney disease definitely needs to take it under the supervision of their doctors. And with the goal of this discussion, it's not, I don't want you to just like, oh, let's take every magnesium out there. I want you to look at what your body might have issues with or what you might want to strengthen in your body and say, oh, this magnesium, because it helps with the brain or because it helps with heart or gives you energy, might be the magnesium that's for you and that would help support your body the best. But again, you might not need magnesium. So how do you know if you're deficient? It's kind of a subtle announcement. It doesn't just come out and say, hey, you need magnesium, body. So what you might notice in the different signs is some muscle twitches. That could even include like your eyelid twitching. I know I've had that happen before. That might be a sign you might want to bump up your magnesium glycinate dose. Jaw tension, restless legs, heart palpitations that are occasional, trouble sleeping or not getting deep sleep, heightened response to external things like light and sound, extra headaches. If migraines are something you deal with, stay with me because a little bit later in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about migraines, what causes migraines, and combinations of magnesium that might be beneficial. So less than 1% of the total magnesium in your body is actually found in your blood. So you might say, okay, well, why don't I just go get a blood test then? I can't really tell if I'm low, I don't want to supplement, I'm just going to get it tested. There's a problem with labs on the magnesium testing. So with the generic serum test of magnesium, only about 1% of your magnesium actually exists in your blood. And then your body's tricky. So what it will actually do, because your blood needs the magnesium, is the body will pull magnesium from your bones and from your muscles and from other tissues to keep those levels high. So your blood level may be normal when you get your test done, but that doesn't mean you're deficient in other areas that are critical. There is another test called the RBC magnesium test that's a little bit more accurate. So if you really want to get labs done to be sure, you could ask for this test. But with magnesium, it's the functional symptoms that are more important actually than what your labs say. So look for the functional clues before you worry about the labs and the testing. So you might want to look at if stress makes your symptoms worse, if you have less tolerance or have recently got less tolerance to alcohol or to caffeine, or if you're taking magnesium and it actually has a better effect on you if you split up the doses throughout the day, keeping your magnesium level stable throughout the day. As I was looking at different forms of magnesium and seeing that they all had all of these unique capabilities, I started thinking, well, maybe it's better not to just take one form of magnesium, but to combine magnesium, different magnesium forms. So I did some research on that. And I think it is a misconception that you have to choose one form for you, and that's the magnesium you're going to take. Or even in different time periods, you may be dealing with one issue this year and next year something else. So you might want to switch it up. So there's not a single best magnesium, I think, out there for everybody. And all magnesiums, each magnesium uses a different transport mechanism. They support different types of different parts of your body. And they even have different physiological pathways on how they get there. So I think combining magnesium may offer broader support than just using one type. Some interesting combinations are a magnesium glycinate and a magnesium L-Threonate, because this could help you with a combination of stress and brain support. Or you could look at magnesium glycinate and magnesium malate, especially if you are heavily into exercise or you're just low on energy, because it can help your energy and your recovery. And then magnesium threonate and magnesium taurate for brain excitability, high stress, and to calm your heart. Okay, now we're going to get into the migraines. So migraines aren't just one thing. Migraines involve multiple pathways. So it could be brain activity, it could be a brain chemical imbalance, blood flow control to your brain, energy production, and again, I keep mentioning is heightened reaction to sensations. Your brain is impacted differently by light, sound, and smell as differently than other people might be. So in this case, a single form of magnesium might not cut it for you. You might need to combine a couple of different forms to actually make a difference. So one thing to consider would be magnesium glycinate and magnesium L-Threonate, because the glycinate can calm the nervous system and support sleep, and the magnesium L-Threonate can support the brain magnesium availability. But together, they could provide a broad nervous system support. So it would be worth giving it a shot, the combination. Again, it's not a treatment plan, but it's an illustration of how you should think about magnesium and looking at how to best support your body. Preliminary research suggests that magnesium might even support hearing, which is very interesting. So it might protect hearing against loud noises. It can keep your brain chemicals balanced that support hearing and also support the health of your hearing cells. So a combination here that might be interesting is magnesium taurate with magnesium L-Threonate, because in that context, they can help keep blood flow healthy to your ears. And the L-Threonate will actually help the brain process sound. So together, they support inner ear function and the brain's ability to process sound. My current strategy has changed a little bit since I started this research. I find it kind of interesting that I'm learning too from these podcasts, and I'm glad I actually did this one because I would not have thought of this. But I already take magnesium L-Threonate, again in the now form of Magtine. I take it in the morning and the afternoon, and then I add glycinate in the evening just to calm down my muscles. And I was having some muscle cramps, so I thought that might help. But after doing the research for this video, because I do a lot of Zumba, I do some weights, and I do a lot of exercise, I was thinking that adding a morning dose of magnesium malate to my plan or to my stack would probably be a good idea. So that's what I'm going to try next. I will let you guys know later, and once I've done this for a while, if it's had any effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the magnesium malate in the morning to give me a boost of energy. I'm going to keep the Magtine in the afternoon, and then keep the magnesium glycinate in the evening to calm my muscles down and to relax me for sleep. And looking at the dosing, I can do this, take one dose of each and keep my total daily elemental magnesium around 300 to 400, which is what is suggested RDA. And it's already been said that dividing magnesium over the day gives you a better tolerance and keeps it in your system longer. So I like that approach. So I'm going to see what happens and see if I notice any changes. On a side note, for those of you that have taken magnesium, or if you start to take it after this video, if you do have loose stools, it usually means your dose is either too high or you're on the wrong kind for your body. So just check that out. If you do have that problem, I would suggest going to a glycinate or lowering your dose if you're already on magnesium glycinate. Now, there's smart timing associated with magnesium, and I'm not saying that take all these magnesiums that I've talked about, but if you take a particular magnesium, there is a good time to take it in the day. If you're taking magnesium malate, for instance, you want that energy boost, taking it in the morning is good. You don't want to take it right before bed and get an energy boost. Magnesium L-Threonate is really good in the afternoon, especially if you're still working, helps your brain focus and helps just kind of make your brain stay calm and focused. But if you're taking 2 doses of that, you could still take one in the morning, get you ready for the day, and then take the second one just to carry you through until the afternoon. If you're taking magnesium taurate, since it's good for your heart and stress regulation, it's good in the afternoon or early evening. And then again, magnesium glycinate, always better in the evening because it is very calming and gets you ready for sleep. If you spread your doses throughout the day, it is good. It helps with the absorption of the magnesium. It will reduce your chances of having digestive issues, and it will support your different systems at the right time of the day for them. RDA for men and women are about 300, men are about 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium total a day. And this is kind of confusing because when you read the label, for instance, like magnesium glycinate might say it has 400 milligrams of glycinate. But then if you continue on the label, that means it only has 40 to 50 milligrams of elemental magnesium. So if you're just getting 40 from the glycinate, then you're still going to want to add either another couple of glycinates to get the dose correct, or you're going to want to add different forms of magnesium to get the right dose there. And you don't want to go for excess because excess is not a good idea either. It's also a good idea to take magnesium with food, especially food that contains fat, just to help the absorption be a little bit better. And you can't really talk about magnesium without talking about vitamin D, K2, and calcium because they work hand in hand. They're a really good team and they all need each other. So vitamin D relies on magnesium for activation, and vitamin D increases calcium absorption, and it will make magnesium way more effective for bone support. Then K2, something I need to do an episode on. I like the MK7 version. It helps direct the calcium into the bones. So magnesium supports this entire process behind the scenes. If you are short on magnesium, your vitamin D activation may be less efficient, and your calcium can end up in your tissue instead of your bones. Something I want to mention here is calcium supplementation. So I think with calcium, it's always a better idea to get calcium from your diet, and you don't want to overdose calcium because too much calcium can end up in your arteries and harden your arteries. But again, different people have different needs, especially if you have osteoporosis. So check with your doctor. Everybody's bodies are different, but for me, I do not supplement with calcium. Per Good RX and Insight, they said people taking magnesium without vitamin D3 supplementation can lead to deficiency symptoms of magnesium. And you also might hear that vitamin D3 and K2 compete, so you can't take them together. That's not true. They function as a team. They both need magnesium, and you could take them all at the same time. You can even take calcium with magnesium at the same time. In fact, you'll find a lot of calcium supplements contain magnesium, and it does become a problem, but only if you're taking extremely high doses of one or the other. Something to be aware of if you're taking magnesium, magnesium can interfere with the absorption of certain antibiotics and bisphosphonates. So I'm not saying you can't take them together or you have to stop magnesium when you're on antibiotics, but you should space them out. Take them about 2 hours apart just to be sure you get the best absorption from everything that you're taking. Zinc and iron also may compete for absorption, so take them at separate times if you're taking either of those. And if you are on a vitamin K antagonist medication, again, definitely really important to talk to your doctor because K2 can affect your blood clotting. Something interesting about magnesium we have kind of leaned in towards is that stress does increase magnesium loss through your urine. Chronic stress may reduce cellular magnesium demand. According to the NIH research, it's a vicious cycle. So stress depletes magnesium. Low magnesium amplifies stress hormones like cortisol. And we all know cortisol can make you gain weight and is also just bad for a lot of things that are happening in your body. So you don't want that to happen. If you're a high stress professional or just have a lot of high stress in your life, something to consider is have a bag of almonds or something else high in magnesium at your desk or in your purse. Take it with you if you're feeling stressed. You might want to try that. That might just give you a little bit of calming to help get you through it. Again, it's not as strong in food, but it is something that might add a little bit of assistance. In closing, remember, magnesium isn't just a supplement. It is a regulator for most of the different systems in your body. It influences how your brain signals your body, how your heart beats, how your muscles contract, how your bones remodel, which is critical, and how your cells even produce energy. When you understand that, you can stop just grabbing whatever bottle's on the shelf and really look at magnesium that will help the particular issues you're concerned about for your body. We're all different. Supplements affect us all differently, and we all need different additions. So just think about that. And I will put a review sheet in here that talks about what different magnesiums can do. So if you want to take a look at that in the notes, I will include that just as a reminder so you don't have to look it up. The next time, I hope you subscribe, I'm going to talk about something really cool. I have been having an issue with my big toe. You all know I'm really active. I like to exercise a lot. And just one day, my big toe started hurting a lot and it stopped having mobility. I knew I could get a surgery. In fact, I went to a doctor who wanted to fuse my toe, which then I would lose mobility, and I don't want that to happen. So I found out about something called peptides outside of GLP-1 peptides. The ones I specifically was interested in is something sometimes called the Wolverine when they're together, but singularly, it's BPC-157 and TB-500. And I did a 6-week round of that, and I want to talk in more depth about what that did and how it made my big toe functional and so much better and gave me back my ability to move. I'm really glad to have you back. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on some of my future episodes. If you're taking peptides, let me know in the comments. I'd like to know, it'd be interesting to know if you're taking GLP-1s, if you've heard about these other peptides and which ones you're using and the benefits you've seen. And maybe I can include that in some of my next video, how it's helped some other people out there. That would be very helpful and interesting. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, stay strong, sharp, and ageless.